AITA for straightening my daughter's hair without my wife's permission? Am I the asshole for straightening my daughter's hair without my wife's permission? I, male 32, have a 4-year-old daughter. Let's call her Gracie. Gracie is half black, her mother, female 31, being African American. Her mother overall handled all of Gracie's hair care and taught me how to do simple styles, but even those simple styles were difficult. My wife ended up going on a vacation with her friends to celebrate her friend's birthday, and my mother came over to visit. I hadn't done Gracie's in a few days, so it became nappy and unmanageable. When I tried to comb her hair, the comb broke. My mother said that I should get my daughter a perm so her hair would be more manageable, so I took her to a salon and got it permed. My wife got home, and when she saw our daughter she was livid. She screamed at me and then at my mother for even suggesting that, but I think she's overreacting because it's just hair. Then she brought up our wedding. My mother had tried to get my wife to straighten her hair for the wedding, but my wife refused because she wanted her natural hair on her wedding day so she could be as natural as possible. My mother often comments on my wife's and daughter's hair, and I agree with my mother. But now my wife's telling me that perms chemically burn and damage hair to change the texture, and that I damage our daughter's hair. Now she's thinking of getting our daughter's hair cut so her hair can heal from the damages, but I still think she's overreacting. Besides, I don't want my daughter's hair to be cut. She looks so cute now. Am I the asshole for straightening my daughter's hair without my wife's permission, even though Gracie is my daughter too? Edit. I've read the comments and came to a realization about my marriage and my wife, and now I just feel horrible. My wife's mentioned in passing about her childhood and was always vague about it, but after overhearing a conversation between her and my mother-in-law, I just realized how much I truly messed up. My wife is dark-skinned and tall, and she got bullied for that along with her hair. She went to a predominantly white school in Bogalusa, and that made her hate herself and her looks for a while. My God, my wording was horrible too. My wife is beautiful, and so is my daughter, and their hair isn't a problem. I'm the problem, and so is my mother. After hearing my wife's conversations about me and my mother, I realized that my mother's a bully and I'm just a drone follower. My mother constantly picked on my wife, and I just stood by and blindly agreed because she's my mom. But that woman who I married is my wife, and I should have protected her from my own ignorance and my mother's ignorance. I took something she took pride in and belittled it. I was too lazy to learn and took my mother's advice. Hell, my mother said so many cruel things that I didn't think twice of until reading these comments. She'd always make sure my daughter didn't play outside when she'd go over her house because she didn't want her to be darker like her mother, and that comment made me uncomfortable, but I took it as a weird joke. I'm cutting my mother off, and I'm going to apologize to my wife and daughter and start watching hair tutorials again. I'm also going to sign up for a hair braiding class when the pandemic has slowed down once more. God, I'm a horrible husband and father. When my wife is willing to talk to, I won't force her. I'll apologize, and if she wants to leave me over this, it'll hurt like hell, but I'll understand. I've just pushed her to the sidelines for so long and couldn't even see it. I am the asshole. The biggest asshole here. Edit 2. I just got off the phone with my mother. My wife listened in on the phone call. I didn't realize she was in the living room with me until she put her hand on my shoulder during the call. My mother as well, livid. She freaked out on me and threatened to call CPS when I told her I didn't want her coming around my wife and daughter, and refused to even try to understand what we did wrong. Then I mentioned the damage that the perm could cause to my daughter. I read a small article by a black-owned hair care company about childhood perm horror stories along with the history behind perms, and I'm just disgusted with myself and my mother. And my mother said my wife was being a drama queen. When I told her my daughter might need a haircut behind this, she flipped out and said, "I won't let my granddaughter look like a bull DK." And I was mortified. She said she's take my daughter from me and my wife and raise her the way God intended. That caused a screaming match. My wife put her hand on my shoulder in the midst of it and took the phone from home and told my mother if she comes to our home again the police will be called, and then she hung up. I put our baby to bed and then we talked. My daughter and wife are beautiful, and I don't understand how for the life of me I thought those horrible things. Maybe it was like that SNL sketch, Diet Racism. Hearing those things from your parent and just blindly listening no matter how horrible it sounds. My wife is still mad at me, rightfully so, but she told me she isn't leaving me over this. She said I have a lot to learn and that if I want this relationship to last I need to open my eyes and realize that the world I live in is different from the one she lives in and different from the world our daughter will live in. I am horrified at myself and horrified at my mother. My father called a few moments ago but I ignored the call. I'll talk to him in the morning about this. Thank you all for talking some sense into me and I thank my wife for staying with me even though she doesn't have to. Tomorrow we are asking our baby girl if she wants a haircut. Knowing her she'll want to get one like her uncle. He has these cool designs shaved into hide head. If she wants that she can have that. She's my world and I refuse to ever be this ignorant and harmful to her again. Final edit. My wife and I arranged for our daughter to spend the night at my mother-in-law's house and couples therapy will be in the near future. The comment sections have certainly given me many perspectives of how horrible my words and actions are. I won't be doing any more replies or edits because this is a throwaway account. I think that's the right term for this. My mother has called the house multiple times from my sister's phone. My sister is 25 and lives for drama, so now the whole family on my mother's side is blowing up my phone with many mixed opinions, most of which are horrible. It's funny, the only family member whose opinion reflects this comment section's common consensus is the one who was disowned a few months ago. Well, actually that's not funny. It shows how messed up my family is. Thank you all for these replies no matter how harsh or mean they might seem. I needed this. This isn't true. Perms and bleaching can burn the scalp and damage the follicles. There are plenty of people who have severe scarring on their scalp in areas that will no longer grow hair, either because they had an allergic reaction to the chemical, or because the beautician didn't take the proper care with their skin. Perming a child's hair can leave a lasting impact. My mother was burned by her stylist the last time she went for a perm 10 years ago. She still suffers from skin issues along her hairline and it looks like she has an awkwardly shaped, receding hairline. Edit. For those of you all upset about the word properly above, the stylist in Op's case did nothing properly, as she proceeded to perm a fucking child. No proper stylist, in their right mind, would fucking do that. I don't care about semantics. Perms can fuck up your hair even if done properly. It all depends on your hair and skin. You can have a reaction even if it doesn't touch your skin. It's a fucking chemical that causes heat and can cause chemical burns. Even the best stylists can make small mistakes that result in bigger issues. Yep. It can also permanently burn and scar the scalp. I have multiple friends who have permanent scarring and hair loss due to perms and relaxers. OP's a complete jackass for acting like his wife is lying and overacting when she clearly knows more about hair care than he does. Cosmetologist here. I have refused chemical services on anyone under 13. It doesn't matter if they have booked an hour or more of my time. I always tried to explain why is not a good idea. If the little one is super insistent bratty, I speak with the parent away from them and most of the time pretty much always force them to act as the parent, not as a friend. Any service between 13 to 15 is to enhance, never to change dramatically. I'm speechless. Dad, grandma and stylist, just awful. Hi. I'm not the one you've asked the question to. But it most certainly is possible. I've personally seen what chemotherapy can do to permanently change hair texture and also women after pregnancy, just of the hormone changes in the body. I imagine for a young child, even through all the changes they will grow through, combine that with still a relatively sensitive skin, adding extreme chemicals directly on top of her scalp and hair, there's a very high possibility to damage the follicle permanently. Her hair will be well. It's the fact that her dad put chemicals in it to straighten it while we are in the midst of a natural hair reclamation. It's a time for embracing our locks, no matter the texture. OP's daughter's hair will grow back as the perm grows out. Think of its growing out hair dye. This sucks big time because the description sounded as though her hair was thick and beautiful. The thing that made me feel sick was him saying that, she looks so cute now. He didn't think that she did before? Dad needs to get some education about the beautiful women around him, one he created himself. Can't believe I got this far before someone mentioned this. He neglected his daughter's hair and then had to go to extremes to fix it. And based on some of what he wrote, I wouldn't be surprised if he did it on purpose because he thought it was too hard to keep up and figured he could get away with a few days of not caring for her hair properly. Sigh. He does sound like he's come to his senses now though, which is good, at least.